In the digital marketing world, there's not many better feelings than getting to brag to your boss with the proof to back it up. I'm Sean Martin, the Growth Marketing Manager here at Directive, and welcome to episode 4 of our action items, where we're going to be talking about tracking and reporting. So for starters, considering the different tools and sites that allow tracking, most paid platforms and all social platforms allow you to track the different engagements with their different posts. But for this video, I'm going to be focusing on Google Analytics because that's actually where you should have all of your different channels and URLs and referral sites meeting in one place and being tracked at the same point. Now, for the most part, there are two basic forms of tracking. There's event tracking and there's destination tracking. Event tracking is actually going to focus on user behaviors and interactions on your page within the same URL. So if, for example, a light box pops up and there's a form submission or a button click or a form completion all within the same page, that's going to be event tracking. Whereas if you have a landing page that takes them to a new page within your domain, that's a destination URL, and you can track that page specifically for anyone who lands on it. So on top of tracking the different destination URLs within your domain that users can land on, as well as tracking the different behaviors and actions and events users can have within those specific pages, you also need to be tracking your keywords and how those pages are ranking for them. There are a lot of different industry tools and sites available to you for tracking your keyword performance. Two that we like to use here at Directive are Moz Pro and SEMrush. Moz Pro is actually going to score your individual pages for keyword orientation, user experience and whatnot, and you're going to want to obviously optimize that score as high as you can. SEMrush, on the other hand, is going to tell you the specific ranking of your pages for your keywords on the SERP. So if you type in SEO service into the Google search and you're ranking at maybe 4 or 5 on the SERP, you're going to see that number next to your keyword in SEMrush where you won't in Moz. This is where your actual optimization strategies are really going to hit home because you can start identifying pages that are ranking maybe at the 11th or 12th spot on the SERP, page 2, and start optimizing their content, their keyword orientation to get them back onto page 1. While knowing where you're ranking and where your pages are on the SERP is important, it's not going to do you any good if you aren't generating any actual user interaction. What's really important is that you're generating conversions, and those come in multiple different levels from cold to hot. Obviously, you're going to want to prioritize your hottest leads. And these are going to be, for example, an online retail store, online immediate purchases, because there's no hotter version of a lead than giving you money right away. For those hot leads that are actually downloading immediate purchases, you're actually giving an actual product or service away immediately. Warmer level leads would be offering, for example, ebooks or white papers that show a lot of your best content but aren't actually your direct service. And in exchange for these, your forms would have something like marketing budget, ideal form of service or business name, so that you can actually prove that these customers are at least interested in your product or service. Now, your lowest level leads aren't actually going to be what we call SQLs, which is a sales qualified lead, because usually these form submissions are only asking for a first and last name and maybe an email. These users aren't usually as interested in your product and service, but they may be interested in downloading that free ebook that you're offering, so they are more than willing to throw in a Mike Allstott into the first and last name and give you a bogus reference for some free content. But just because a user isn't guaranteed to be interested in your site or service doesn't mean they're not a viable lead. It may be a kind of spray and pray approach, but every lead counts in the long run. So now that we've talked about the different level of form submissions, you can actually use your tracking and reporting software to prioritize the value of the different leads you get from your different forms. The value you attribute to a given lead is actually going to vary based on the channel he or she came through, and the different platform they're landing on. So, for example, if they came through a retail channel, you can actually attribute direct value because they paid X amount of dollars for a product that cost you Y amount of dollars, and it's an easy math equation. For more evergreen ideas, though, like an email subscription or a certain service that gives monthly content, these are lifetime values of a user, and it can get a little bit harder to measure. Either way, though, regardless of the channel you are collecting your leads from, you need to identify your close rate right away. Your close rate is actually going to be a big definer of your overall return on investment. If you actually multiply your close rate by your lifetime estimated or average value of a closed lead, you can get the estimated value you can attribute to each of your leads. You're going to want to make sure that this number is higher than your CPA. This way you can be ensured that each lead has more value than they are costing you. A last note about attribution: this is a really messy and sticky situation, and it can get very confusing because of the many different attribution models available. We actually have a video about different attribution models that we'll tag, and all you need to know really is that the specific attribution model you use is going to be very specific to your industry and your campaign goals. Hopefully this video answered any questions you may have about tracking and reporting in your own campaigns. And be sure to tune in next week for episode number 5 of our action items, where I get to talk about making something for once. Also, remember to subscribe for our Action Items channel for weekly episodes every Friday.